So, age regressors in VR chat. So yeah, today I want to cover the topic of age regressors in VR chat, but I'm not going to cover it as a content troll. I want to talk to some of these people, and I want to ask questions, and I want to try and get honest answers. I want to find out what's going on here. What is this whole age regressor thing? What is this all about? So yeah, let's go talk to some of these people.
I asked, do y'all like age play or like?
Ew.
Do y'all mind if I spread the gospel?
No, sorry, not
I
like
think-
age play. I'm sorry. Like age regression. You know what I'm talking about?
Isn't that just age play? Like, what's the difference?
One is
I
a
think
coping
age-
mechanism, one is a kink.
Oh, Master Chief.
I don't do it in lobbies like these. God, no. I prefer group instances, group pluses, and even then, I'm like really picky with what groups I go to because there's so much drama. Ugh.
Sharks, what about you?
Same thing. Like, I prefer to go to like group instances or like privates, but sometimes if I do go to publics for these avatars, I do get people try and rage bait and people do bully me a lot, but it never really works. It doesn't really hurt my feelings because it is a virtual game. That's gonna happen.
Peach's daycare got removed. Yeah, because people spam reported it. Oh. Yeah, people like to scream at any and everything they don't understand immediately. But in like genuine little instances, they won't let you do this kind of thing because it might be kind of intimidating. You could try Puppy Den, but you'd have to ask them before they let you in because if not, they will just kick you if you don't ask beforehand. But it's kind of rare.
Oh, twin, you're going down. Yeah,
I could put a portal for you.
Of course not, they are. We know how the game is played.
Bad when they're younger, so then they go into like a childlike mindset when they're older, like an adult, and they act like a kid and play and stuff.
Psychologically, for the reason to relive their childhood that they didn't get to experience, correct?
Yes.
So basically, psychology, it comes from a lot of traumatic events that happened back in your past, and the only way that you can deal with it as an adult, with all the stress that you actually are impacting nowadays, you basically go back to where you were as a kid and just explore a little bit of your inner child. I've been dabbling in the furry community. I've been dabbling in the bisexual LGBTQ community, everything.
Let me ask you a question.
Hi.
So you're at a world right now that is mostly age regressors, and yet you're full-on naked. What's up with that?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm on the wrong avatar.
Oh my!
Eggs behind you.
Yeah, can I
Oh my god!
Oh, sorry.
So what was up with that?
I got traumatized.
Can I come in?
Oh my god!
What?
I mean, what was up with? I'm just asking what was up
That
with
was a
that.
private avatar.
Tell me your story.
Sorry,
I didn't mean to have it on. I meant to pick a different avatar.
You know proximity chat?
I know of him. I don't know him personally. I've watched some of his videos. Why?
I know him personally now.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. I added him. Well, he added me.
Yeah.
Because we were letting him go in there to troll, but like only the people that are faking.
And you think trusting him's a good idea?
I mean, no, but yes, at the same time, kind of.
Yeah.
And we were like, oh my god, it's proximity. And nobody heard us. And we took him to the quiet room, talked to him for a little bit. And he friended us. We made the deal, talked about it and everything. And
who's going to decide who's fake and who isn't? You're going to let a known troll who makes it their business to humiliate other people in VR on YouTube go into a place where emotionally damaged people are going to seek some sort of self-help, and you're going to let him be the judge of who's real and who isn't, and basically roast whoever he chooses, with the assumption that it will only be the people who deserve it, or who he thinks deserves it. What makes you think you can trust this person?
That's not what we're doing. We're basically, when we verify someone, we haven't done it yet. But when we verify
I know what you
someone,
think. I know what you think you're doing. I'm just throwing out that possible scenario is that he could end up humiliating someone who isn't fake, but he'll already have the content and put it on YouTube.
Listen. Can we talk about something else, please?
So, who are these age regressors? Are they emotionally damaged people using a coping mechanism to make up for a traumatic childhood? Or are they actually predators attempting to groom others as part of a sick fantasy? And the more important question is this: would we even be able to tell them apart? So let's take a look at some of their worlds. What does an age regressor world look like? Well, from what I can see, the worlds are typically fashioned to be oversized place-based sorts of environments that are supposed to give the impression of being a child. I guess these worlds are supposed to be soothing and conducive to childhood feelings or something like that, but I'll be honest, I don't find these worlds to be comforting at all. I can't imagine how regaining the perspective of a child can somehow make someone feel better. I mean, I'll be honest, my childhood sucked. There's no way I would want to go back to it. I am much happier being an adult than I ever was as a child, which is why I have such a hard time understanding this regressor concept. I just don't get it. And you know what? I don't want to. Children should be children, but adults need to be adults, and that's just how I see it, so I guess I just don't understand that part. But I guess the biggest question is this: should age regressing be a legitimate aspect of VR society, or even IRL society for that matter? And the answer to that depends on one major question, and that's the question that I asked at the beginning of this video. Are age regressors emotionally damaged people using coping mechanisms to make up for a traumatic past? Or are they actually predators attempting to groom others as part of a sick fantasy? If they truly are emotionally damaged people attempting some sort of self-help technique, then who among us can judge what consenting adults are allowed to do with other consenting adults? But if they are predators seeking victims, then no, there's no room for that. All societies, whether VR or IRL, should actively weed out predators of that nature. From what I can tell, I'll be honest, I don't know what we have here. From what I saw on the limited number of times that I went through these worlds and groups, I found consenting people who seemed to be practicing a self-help technique. But I also know that VR, especially VR chat, is full of predators. I've done videos on this in the past, check them out. The fact of the matter is that VR chat does have a predator problem. And places like this seem tailor-made for just that kind of predation. We can't just pretend that doesn't exist, and because of that, I view these worlds with a very weary eye. And I'm definitely not the only one that sees it that way. I interviewed a bunch of random VR users, and I asked what they thought about age regressors. I was thinking that I would include those interviews as part of this video, but you know what? I'm not. I'm not going to include those interviews. I can't. It wouldn't be TOS. It was bad. There's definitely a lot of hostility out there, but let me talk about that for a moment. I believe that there are many things that lead to these hostile feelings, but if I was to summarize one small example, I would choose the difference between these two phrases: age regression and age play. From what I was told by some of the regressors that I spoke with is that age regression is a psychological self-help technique where someone resorts to a childlike state to heal emotional trauma from the past, whereas age play is where people resort to childlike behavior as a sexual kink. So, this was new to me. I wasn't aware of these two terms and that they had special definitions. To me, they kind of sound like the same thing, age regressor and age play, and I think most people would agree with me. For most of us, we don't know the highly nuanced yet highly profound differences between the phrases of your private language. So, to age regressors, I say this: I now know the difference between these two definitions, but here's the problem. No one else knows this. This is part of your own private little language that you use amongst yourselves, but then you expect the rest of society to understand it. But that's not how communication works. Listen closely. If you want to be understood by others, then you need to speak in the language that they understand. You need to use words by definitions that they know. That's how communication works. And I believe that your use of these two phrases are just a small example of your entire issue. Listen, I spoke with some of you. You tell me that you're misunderstood. Yeah, you are. But the problem is that you're not doing anything to change that. I had to try to understand you just to get this far. But the problem is that most people aren't going to do that. Most people aren't going to try as hard as I did. In fact, by making up your own little phrases and nuanced language, you're retreating. You're only setting yourself further apart, which will only make it harder for others to understand you. So listen, age regressors. The reason why most people are so hostile to you is because most people cannot operate in a mental space where age regression and age play do not overlap. And there's a very good reason for that. Listen, it gets complicated, but just bear with me. For adults, every time a man meets a woman for the first time, whether that be a quick casual conversation waiting in line at the store or shaking hands with a new coworker, every time a man meets a woman for the first time, the very first thing that goes through the primal portion of that man's brain, maybe even subconsciously, is this one question. Would I have sex with her? Is that an option? And you know what? Both men and women do this. Maybe more so for men. I'm sorry, but it's true. And for adults, it's a normal way to see other adults. Of course, most of the time, no one acts on it, but it's true. It's how we're built. We're biologically designed to think this way. For adults, this is a normal way to think about other adults. We are animals, and we are hardwired to view all other viable members of society as potential mates, with the sole exceptions being family and children. These are the rules that have been beaten into us through millenniums of evolution. But age regressors, you blur that line, which is where the feelings of revulsion come from. You force us as adults with all that biological sexual-driven software to interact with you, another adult, but as a child. And look, not only are we hardwired to view all other viable peers in our society as potential mates, but we know that you are too. So when we see a grown adult rolling around on the floor pretending to be a child with other peers that also appear to be children, what conclusion do you think we're going to come to? And for a normal, healthy adult, this just trips too many warnings and flags in our psyche. It makes us feel sick, which manifests in revulsion and hostility. This is where those feelings are coming from, and you can't blame us for that. I understand that you say this is your coping mechanism, but maybe you ask too much of us to be a part of it, or even to recognize it. Listen, I don't have the answers, but I do think that I understand the problem. So, age regressors, I'm not going to yell at you, I'm not going to call you insults and slurs, but I am going to offer you some perspective. Pretend for a moment that there's no difference between age regressing and age play. Pretend that you cannot separate the two. Pretend that you cannot create a magic psychological space where you get to leave behind the biological function that was the most powerful evolutionary force that forged our monkey brain, that being sex, and then ask yourself, is this okay? Because that's how everyone else sees it. And quite frankly, I don't think you can leave that force behind. I don't think anyone can. And I think that's why so many people are having a hard time with this. Okay, so listen. I want to leave it open for comments, but I want to ask that everyone refrain from hate spam, slurs, accusations, and anything that's going to be flagged as non-TOS. This is an opportunity for everyone to weigh in with their thoughts on the matter, but I want it to be a productive conversation, not just a shitstorm of mindless insults. So yeah, let me know what you think. In the meantime, I want to thank you for joining me, and I hope that covering this topic wasn't a mistake. Anyway, I am Kinetic, and I'll see you next time.